Let's be real. There's nothing more exhausting than chasing after people who just don't care about you. And yet, we've all done it. I know I have. I remember a time when I kept making excuses for someone in my life. They're just busy, or maybe they didn't see my message. Meanwhile, the truth was sitting there loud and clear. If someone wants to show up for you, they will. But I wasn't ready to hear that. And here's the kicker. Research backs this up. Studies show that when we're emotionally invested, we tend to overlook the obvious signs that someone just isn't reciprocating. Why? Because rejection feels like a threat to our sense of belonging. And belonging, that's hardwired into us. But here's what I want you to know. Realizing that someone doesn't care about you the way you care about them isn't a loss, it's freedom. Because the moment you stop begging for breadcrumbs, you make space for the people who will actually bring you a whole meal. So today we're talking about the 8 behaviors of people who don't care about you, not to shame them, but to free you. Because once you see these patterns for what they are, you'll stop chasing people who wouldn't even cross the street for you and start focusing on the ones who would walk miles to meet you where you are. Let's be real. There's nothing more exhausting than chasing after people who just don't care about you. And yet we've all done it. I know I have. I remember a time when I kept making excuses for someone in my life. They're just busy, or maybe they didn't see my message. Meanwhile, the truth was sitting there, loud and clear. If someone wants to show up for you, they will. But I wasn't ready to hear that. And here's the kicker. Research backs this up. Studies show that when we're emotionally invested, we tend to overlook the obvious signs that someone just isn't reciprocating. Why? Because rejection feels like a threat to our sense of belonging. And belonging, that's hardwired into us. First, they're only around when they need something. You know exactly what this looks like. They call when they need advice, show up when they need a favor, lean on you when life gets hard, and you're there every time. Because that's the kind of person you are. You care deeply. You want to help. You want to believe that if you just keep showing up, eventually they'll do the same for you. But then one day you need them, not for anything big, just a little support, a check-in, maybe even just a text back. And suddenly they're too busy. Suddenly they disappear. And you start wondering, was I ever really important to them? Here's the hard truth. People who only show up when they need something aren't in relationship with you. They're in transaction with you. And the most dangerous part, if this happens enough, you start believing that this is what love, friendship, or connection is. That care has to be earned by proving your usefulness. But let's get real. Healthy relationships aren't built on debts and favors. They're built on mutual care, on people showing up because they want to, not because they need something. If someone only reaches for you when they need to be lifted up, but never extends a hand when you're the one sinking, that's not a relationship worth holding on to. Because the people who truly care, you don't have to wonder if they'll be there. They just are. Second, they don't listen. They wait to talk. You've been there. You open up about something important, something real. Maybe you're finally sharing what's been weighing on you, or maybe you just need someone to hear you. And before you even finish your sentence, they jump in, shifting the focus, talking over you, making it about them. It's not that they didn't hear you. It's that they weren't listening. Because listening, real listening, isn't just about waiting for your turn to speak. It's about being present, about making space for someone else's feelings without rushing to fill the silence with your own. And here's the thing, when someone consistently talks over you, dismisses what you're saying, or redirects every conversation back to themselves, it sends a message. What you feel isn't as important as what I have to say, and over time, you start to shrink. You stop sharing as much. You second guess whether your feelings are even valid. Research shows that deep listening is one of the most powerful ways we can build trust and connection. When we feel heard, our brain releases oxytocin, the same chemical linked to bonding and emotional safety. But when we're constantly interrupted or ignored, the opposite happens. We start feeling alone, even in the presence of others. So pay attention to the people who truly listen, the ones who sit with you in your vulnerability, who don't rush to fix or compare, who don't make everything about them. Because the people who care, they don't just hear your words, they hear you. Third, they dismiss your feelings. You finally work up the courage to say, hey, that really hurt me. And instead of listening, instead of acknowledging it, they roll their eyes, you're overreacting, you're too sensitive, it wasn't that big of a deal. And just like that, the conversation shifts from what they did to how you're wrong for feeling the way you do. Let's call this what it is, emotional dismissal. And it's one of the fastest ways to erode trust in a relationship. Because when someone constantly downplays your feelings, you start questioning them yourself. Maybe I am making too much of this. Maybe I should just let it go. And before you know it, you're walking on eggshells, keeping things inside, convincing yourself that your pain isn't worth bringing up. But here's the truth. Your feelings are not inconvenient. They're not too much. And when someone cares about you, they don't have to agree with everything you feel, but they will make space for it. That's what emotional safety looks like. That's what respect looks like. Research on relationships shows that validation, simply acknowledging another person's emotions, is one of the strongest predictors of long-term trust and connection. And the opposite, when feelings are consistently dismissed, minimized, or mocked, it creates emotional distance. It teaches people to hold back instead of open up. So pay attention. If someone consistently makes you feel like your emotions don't matter, believe them. Not their words, not their excuses, their behavior. Because the people who truly care about you, they don't make you prove that your feelings are real. They just listen and they care. Fourth, they're never truly happy for you. You share your big news, maybe it's a promotion, a creative win, a personal milestone. You're excited, maybe even a little nervous to say it out loud. And instead of celebrating with you, they give you a half-hearted, that's cool. Or worse, they don't acknowledge it at all. Maybe they change the subject. Maybe they find a way to make it about them. And suddenly what should have felt like a moment of joy feels empty. Here's the thing, when people care about you, they want to see you thrive. They don't see your success as a threat or something to compete with. They clap when you win, they lift you higher. And when someone does, that's information. Psychologists call this schadenfreude, that little flicker of pleasure some people feel when others struggle. And the research is clear, people who are insecure or unfulfilled in their own lives often struggle to celebrate others. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your success shines a light on what they feel they lack. But here's the truth. Your wins, your growth, your joy, they deserve to be celebrated. And the right people, the ones who truly care, will never make you feel guilty for shining. They won't shrink when you rise. They'll rise with you. So pay attention. If someone only shows up in your low moments but disappears in your high ones, that's not support. That's something else entirely. Because real connection isn't just about standing beside you in the struggle. It's about cheering for you when you finally step into the light. Fifth, they break promises. Constantly. At first it's small. A canceled dinner plan here, a forgotten call back there. Life gets busy, things come up, it happens. But then you start noticing a pattern. They always have an excuse. They always say they'll make it up to you, and yet somehow they never do. And here's where it gets tricky, because you want to believe them. You want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they are just busy. Maybe they really did forget, but deep down you feel it. If you mattered, they would follow through. Let's be clear. Nobody is perfect. We all mess up. But when someone truly values a relationship, they try, they communicate, they show effort, and when they drop the ball, they don't just brush it off, they own it. Research on trust shows that it's not built in grand gestures, but in the small, everyday moments. Keeping a promise, showing up when you say you will, remembering the little things, these are the bricks that build connection. And when someone repeatedly breaks promises, cancels plans, or forgets commitments, it sends a message, you're not a priority. So what do you do with that? You stop excusing what is clearly a choice. Because effort isn't about never messing up, it's about making it right when you do. And people who truly care about you, they don't just say they will, they show they will. 6, they make you feel like you're too much. You express a need, maybe for more time, more communication, more support, and suddenly you're too needy. You share your excitement about something you love and they call you too intense. You set a boundary and now you're too difficult. And over time, that message sinks in. You start shrinking yourself, holding back, editing parts of who you are just to make them more comfortable. But here's what I need you to hear. You are not too much. They are just unwilling to give enough. Psychologists call this dismissive behavior, and it's one of the most common ways people deflect responsibility in relationships. Instead of acknowledging their own emotional unavailability or unwillingness to meet you where you are, they shift the blame onto you. And when this happens enough, you start wondering if maybe they're right, if maybe you are asking for too much, if maybe you should lower your expectations. But let's get real. Wanting to be heard, understood, or treated with care, and that's not being needy. And the people who truly care about you will never make you feel guilty for needing connection. They won't shame you for feeling deeply, for dreaming big, for standing up for yourself. They won't ask you to dim your light just so they don't have to squint. So pay attention. If someone consistently makes you feel like you have to apologize for who you are, that's not love. That's control. And real love, real care, doesn't ask you to be less. It invites you to be more. Seventh, they don't respect your boundaries. You set a boundary. Maybe you say, I can't talk right now. I need some space. Or I'm not comfortable with that. Or even just, I can't help you this time. And instead of respecting it, they push. They guilt trip. They act offended. Maybe they laugh it off like your limits are some kind of joke. And if you hold firm, suddenly you're the bad guy. But here's the truth. Boundaries aren't walls. They're not about shutting people out. They're about protecting your energy, your well-being, your self-respect. And people who care about you, they honor those boundaries. Not just when it's easy, not just when it's convenient for them, but always. Research on personal boundaries shows that the healthiest relationships are built on mutual respect. When someone ignores or repeatedly tests your limits, what they're really saying is, my needs matter more than yours. And over time, that kind of dynamic doesn't just create frustration, it creates resentment, exhaustion, and sometimes even self-doubt. Because here's what happens when your boundaries aren't respected. You start questioning if you even deserve to have them. You start over-explaining, over-apologizing, bending and stretching yourself just to keep the peace. But real peace, real connection, it isn't found in people-pleasing. It's found in relationships where your no is just as valued as your yes. So here's the bottom line. If someone truly cares about you, they won't make you fight for the right to take care of yourself. They won't turn your limits into a negotiation. Because when someone respects you, they respect your boundaries, period. Eighth, they only support you when it's convenient for them. At first, it seems like they're in your corner. They say the right things. They nod along when you talk about your dreams. They might even offer words of encouragement. But when it actually matters, when you need real support, when showing up requires effort, they're nowhere to be found. Maybe you invite them to something important, a big event, a tough moment where you need backup, a time when just their presence would mean everything and they have an excuse. Or worse, they say nothing at all. But then when they need a cheerleader, a favor, or a listening ear, they expect you to be there, no questions asked. This isn't just inconsistency, it's conditional support. And here's what's dangerous about it. It teaches you to lower your expectations, to accept crumbs and call it care. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement, when someone gives just enough to keep you hoping, but never enough to build real trust. And over time, it messes with your sense of what you deserve. You start convincing yourself that maybe this is just how people are, that expecting more is asking too much. But here's the truth. People who truly care about you don't just show up when it's easy or convenient. They show up when it matters. They celebrate with you, stand by you, and support you, not just when it fits their schedule, but because they want to. So if someone is only there when it serves them, but absent when you need them, that's not support. That's self-interest. And real relationships, real care, isn't built on convenience. It's built on commitment. At the end of the day, love, respect, and care aren't just words. We see them in actions, in consistency, in the way people show up or don't. And here's the hard truth. People who truly care about you won't leave you feeling small, unseen, or like you have to earn their kindness. They won't dismiss your feelings, break promises without thought, or only celebrate you when it's convenient. And if you've recognized some of these behaviors in people around you, I know that realization can be painful. It's never easy to admit that someone you care about doesn't care about you in the way you deserve. But here's what I want you to remember. You are worthy of people who listen, who respect, who support, and who choose you, not just when it's easy, but always. So be brave enough to expect more. Be strong enough to walk away from people who consistently show you they don't value you. And most of all, be kind enough to yourself to never again settle for anything less than the care and respect you so freely give to others. Good luck. You've got this.